Okay, so after 2 years of nonstop hype, OpenAI's GPT-5 is finally here. And according to the very first developers who got to test it, it's a massive leap forward, just not in the way anyone expected. So what is really going on with GPT-5?
This is the first thing you hear from developers putting it through its paces. They're saying it's the closest we've ever been to AGI, artificial general intelligence, an AI that can reason and solve problems just like a human. But while it's doing absolute miracles in software engineering, there's a catch. And yeah, it's a big one.
That's right. For all its incredible power, its ability to write just simple, human-like text has actually gotten worse compared to older models. This isn't just a simple upgrade. This is something fundamentally different. And to really get why, we need to go back. Way, way back.
Welcome to the Stone Age. Now, I know, that might sound like a huge step backward, but it's the perfect way to understand this leap forward. Because the key to GPT-5 isn't really about its internal brain power. It's about looking at what it does externally.
I mean, think about it. What really kicked off human dominance on this planet? It wasn't that we could suddenly memorize more stuff or do math faster in our heads. Actually, chimpanzees have better short-term memory than we do. The breakthrough was learning how to use tools to extend our own abilities.
And that's the exact same trade-off we're seeing with GPT-5. We humans offloaded our memory onto external tools like writing things down, and GPT-5 is doing the same thing. It's trading some of its internal skills, like, say, creative writing, for this unbelievable new ability to use external tools, things like code interpreters, web search, and the power to actually take actions in the real world. This is the dawn of the AI Stone Age.
So if GPT-5 is a tool user, what does that actually look like in practice? This is where we get to the heart of the breakthrough. We're about to see how it's not just using tools, it's literally thinking with them.
This is the crucial point, right? Older models could use tools you handed them, but GPT-5 integrates them into its core reasoning process. It researches, it tries things, it plans, it explores, all through its tools. The tool isn't just a command it runs, it's part of its cognitive loop.
And it thrives on powerful open-ended tools. We're not talking about simple stuff like asking for the weather. It wants tools in 4 main areas. First, internal retrieval, so using things like RAG or SQL to search its own knowledge. Second, web search, for exploring the live internet. Third, a code interpreter, for running and testing code on the fly. And finally, actions, which let it actually do things, like edit a file. These are the building blocks of its new kind of intelligence.
This huge shift means we have to completely change how we interact with it. You're not just giving instructions to a text generator anymore. You're giving a goal to an agent that's going to use tools to figure out the path all on its own.
So our whole approach to prompting has to evolve. Instead of a huge context dump, you give it high-level guidance, kind of like you're onboarding a new developer. You start with a compass, clear, structured pointers. Then you tell it the project's purpose, point it to a specific starting file, explain the overall code structure, and, this is so important, you have to define exactly what done looks like. You're not micromanaging, you're just setting a direction and letting the agent figure out the steps.
Okay, so that's all theory. But what does this new kind of intelligence actually look like when the rubber meets the road? Let's get into some real-world tests.
The developers threw this just gnarly problem at it that no other model could solve. A really complex conflict between different software libraries inside a massive codebase. This is the kind of problem that makes human developers just want to tear their hair out.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the difference in approach. Claude, which is a very powerful model, it basically just guessed. It tried a solution, it failed, and then it kind of gave up. But look at GPT-5. It didn't guess. It acted like a seasoned developer. It used a command line tool, yarn-y, which is a diagnostic tool, to investigate the root cause of the problem. It took notes on what it found, reasoned about the output, and then surgically edited the exact files needed to fix it. No guessing, just investigation.
It solved it in one shot. That methodical, tool-driven investigation, that is something we have never seen from an AI before. It's not just matching patterns, it's genuine problem solving.
Okay, check this out. Here's another incredible example. A developer asked GPT-5 to build a website that looked and worked just like the old Mac OS 9, but using only basic HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. No modern frameworks, no helper libraries. And it didn't just build some static page. It built a functional mini operating system right there in the browser. It included a working Paint app with different tools and colors. It made the desktop icons movable. And here's the real kicker.
It automatically added code to save all the changes to the browser's local storage, so your icon positions, your drawings, they'd still be there when you reloaded the page. It just did it.
Which brings us all the way back to our original paradox. I mean, if it can do all of this, why is it so clumsy when you just ask it to, write a social media post?
Well, the user feedback is pretty clear. Compared to a model like GPT 4.5, which is fantastic at mimicking tone, GPT-5's writing is described as generic LinkedIn slop. This is that trade-off we were talking about. It has become a specialist, a master tool user, and in that process, some of its generalist skills, like writing, have kind of atrophied.
So, we have an AI that's a genius at some things and, well, pretty mediocre at others. What does this specialized, tool-obsessed intelligence actually mean for the future?
You see, this ability to reliably use tools, to recover from its own errors, and to operate over long periods of time, that's the key that unlocks a whole new class of products. This isn't just about answering one-off questions anymore. It's about creating AI agents that can manage complex, multi-step projects completely on their own.
To really put this in perspective, let's look at a number. Before GPT-5, some experts figured we were about 65% of the way to automating the entire field of software engineering. After this model, that number jumped to 72%. Now, a 7% jump might not sound like a lot, but in a field this complex, that represents a decade of progress happening in a single year. It is a massive, massive acceleration.
In fact, a lot of people are calling this the single biggest leap in automating software engineering since the release of GPT 3.5. And that was the model that kicked off this entire AI revolution in the first place.
We are now officially in an era where our most powerful tool user is no longer human. It's an AI that can reason, plan, and build all on its own. Our own journey started when we first picked up a tool, and it changed our world forever. Which really just leaves us with one profound question. What happens next, now that our tools have started building their own?